That would have never happened under Harris. Never. And Gary Gensler, he may have been at the SEC or left the SEC. He would have had a lot of influence on the process. And I viciously maintain this, that those two, Gensler and Warren, were tied to the Bankman-Fried family.
That as we're recording, the SEC just dropped their case against Consensus. I don't know if you saw that, but in a week when they've also dropped against Robinhood, Uniswap, Gemini, Coinbase last week. So
Ripple.
Yeah.
The host of the Wolf of Wall Street podcast. He's naming off all the crypto cases that have been dropped. And Anthony Scaramucci just keeps saying, Ripple, Ripple. Like, does he know something we don't know? Does he know this thing has already been dropped and just not announced yet? Because Anthony knows a lot about this industry. And if anyone knew behind the scenes, even though he doesn't get along with the current administration, it very well may be him. And he brings up a good point there in that interview. I suggest you watch it in its entirety. Where we find ourselves now from a regulatory outlook within cryptocurrencies. He says, had Vice President Harris won, this wouldn't be the case. Gary Gensler still would be at the SEC, or even if he transitioned out, he'd have a lot of power over the new administration and their approach to cryptocurrencies. So, I know there's a lot of things going on right now in the world, infinity tariffs, all sorts of scary stuff. But I think we should be thankful for the crypto industry where we find ourselves. I really believe it's the perfect setup for a massive bull run. And we just need a little bit of runway here, people. That is it. Things are really looking great. Let's take a quick look at the market here. Bitcoin up 3.7% at the time of this recording, sitting at 87,000. Ethereum, that's even up a little bit, 3.6%. XRP up 4.8%, sitting at $2.45. And, if you think historically, for those of you that have been around, 87,000 Bitcoin, $2.45 XRP, it's not the worst place we've been. I can tell you that. And Cardano, just about at $1.93, up 14% on the 24-hour. So things are not as doom and gloom as many people will tell you. Now, I need your help here. Let me know down below. I read some articles that said Brad Garlinghouse was not going to this White House crypto summit, but it looks like his name is here on this list that's been publicized pretty widely on X. I assume he's going to be there. Let me know down below. Is Brad going to be at this thing or not? Because there was quite a few articles that said he was not, but he seems to be on the guest list from what I can tell. Ray Dalio sounding the alarm, saying, you know what? There's going to be a debt crisis in this country, and we are going to have a financial heart attack within the next 3 years. Kind of Captain Obvious here, isn't he? But he says, Bitcoin, and really he's saying crypto, might be the escape route for everyone. Dalio suggests alternative money. So again, that could be Bitcoin or other cryptos or a combination of them, may be the go-to hedge. Unlike real estate, which the government can tax or seize, Bitcoin or crypto operates outside traditional financial controls, making it a powerful safeguard for wealth. And, that's going to be a big use case there in its own right. I've talked about this since I very first started this podcast. You have people that start LLCs, corporations, overseas LLCs and corporations, trust, combination of all this stuff, trying to safeguard their asset from liability, from the potential of lawsuits. And cryptocurrencies, especially as they become more stable over the long term, these will be tools people use as well. Doesn't mean they'll put their whole net worth in this, but a percentage of it to safeguard for a rainy day. Doesn't matter who it is, they can't seize it. That's going to be a big part. And also to escape crisis within the financial system, within your region. I mean, this is going to be big for the ultra wealthy specifically. Trump's announcement for U.S. strategic crypto reserve, including XRP, Solana, and ADA, sent altcoins surging. And what's interesting, we saw Bitcoin's dominance plummet from 55.4 to 50%. Historically, a shift that signals the start of alt season. Will it be a signal this time around? We will see it progress. We see Chamath saying the following: Trump is more popular with young people than older people. Most people that are younger, they don't own stocks or homes. And he's talking about kind of, the voters that put him in power. Look, these are working class, middle class folks that are asset light. And, really what's important to them may not be what we would think traditionally is important. Home values going up, stock market going up. But one thing that the younger generation does have is cryptocurrencies. And so, really, he's saying the trifecta, what we would see here is cheaper stocks, cheaper homes, lower rent. That's something that this current generation didn't get. 2008, 9, 10. You think about that washout where people were able to buy into the stock market very cheap. They were able to buy their first home very cheap. They haven't had that opportunity here. And I don't know if they're going to get it. I guess at some point in time, we're likely to run into a buzzsaw. But again, what this voting class has, these regular working class folks, their ticket in, well, it's been cryptocurrencies. And I think you'll continue to see a focus for exactly that reason. We see this post here from Dom saying the following: remember, when rates go down, crypto goes up. Lower rates drive investors to risk assets. Tons of new liquidity flows into the market. Crypto prices, aka the risk assets, they shoot up. I heard Mohammed El-Arin today talking. He only expects one rate cut this year. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, he knows a heck of a lot more than I do, but I would be surprised if we only see one rate cut. I think they're going to drive that rate down and quickly. They got a lot of refinancing to do with the government here. Senator Loomis saying a huge win for the digital asset industry with the Kraken court case being dropped. We are closing the door on regulation by punishment and welcoming home American innovation. Look, I'm no huge Senator Loomis fan, but I like what she's saying there. And that's it. You don't have to like everything someone says, but it doesn't mean sometimes they don't get it right. And I think that's the big thing. We got to close that door on that. Punishing real businesses like Kraken, like Coinbase, like Ripple. Let's encourage them to build in a regulatory compliant manner. Mickle Markets bringing up this. I don't know this guy, Pierre Rochard. I call him the Bitcoin forehead here. He's claiming that there's some backdoor code that will allow people to mint more XRP. Mickle saying Bitcoin maxis now think open sourced XRPL code base has a secret mint button. I mean, when they run out of actual arguments, they go to just making stuff up. Again, as Mickle says, it's open source. You can look at the code yourself, even if you're not capable of going through code and looking for this kind of stuff. Don't you think someone out there, some Bitcoin maxi, some computer programmer will look at that and go, aha, there's the code right there. And furthermore, even if there was such a mint button, what good would it do you? Because the minute you do that, no one trusts you anymore, and the value would crater to zero. Like, what is Ripple going to sell all their tokens and then just mint themselves another 100 billion? Like, it just wouldn't work. It's really a stupid argument, but doesn't mean they won't try. They won't try to spread their fun. Michael Saylor saying, I'm going to buy the top forever. Well, at least until he goes bankrupt or runs out of money. Howard Lutnick saying Trump may reverse tariffs on Canada and Mexico starting tomorrow. If that happens, I hope it's some sort of permanent deal that once a month we don't have to revisit this infinity tariff nonsense. I think markets will like it a lot. At least if we get Canada and Mexico to some sort of agreement. Seeing Europe, come to an agreement would be great. I'm not so sure about China. I think that'll take a little bit longer. Thought this was a really great argument by Fred Rispoli today, Attorney Fred. And he's talking about where Jack Mallers saying, hey, there's no pre-mines in Bitcoin and things like this. It says, you know what, by 2050, approximately the entire Bitcoin supply will have been mined out. And he doesn't see when that happens how it's functionally any different from pre-mine coins. Like all the coins are in circulation with Bitcoin at that point and XRP. And at this point, why does it matter if something was pre-mined or not? And he goes on to say arguments as to purpose and utility aside, it will have essentially 100% of its supply circulating in 2050 as every other pre-mined coin. These aren't static states of these networks. We are going over time, more adoption, more use case, more value. And even whales like Ripple that do hold a lion's share of the supply, over time they'll continue to sell and they'll have less and less and less and less. And so I really think what we need on the XRP ledger is just more main players with big money to fund development, to build novel systems on top of this technology. That's what matters, not so much how the tokens are distributed. Because again, eventually they will be distributed out to the market, and it really won't matter what the mechanism is. Again, you have to think kind of out into the future a little bit with this stuff, and that's what we're doing with investing, right? We're pulling those future values, discounting it into today's price. And I do not see a material difference if something was pre-mined versus if you mined it and things like that, because The day will come when every time someone gets a coin, it's because they bought it on the open market, not because they were running a miner or something like this. Mario, BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF inflows revealed a massive untapped demand for Bitcoin, bringing a wave of new institutional money into this market. Just a ton. Look at this ETF, the success they've had with Bitcoin. I think we will see something similar, maybe smaller, most likely smaller, but still a lot of money flowing into altcoins. Eventually, with that Ethereum ETF, we're going to get XRP, Solana, and a whole bunch of other ones probably across that finish line. And people are going to want a piece of that, and in a big way. And especially when you get these bundled products, I think major investors are going to like that because they're not going to play this game of what coin's the best and all of this stuff. Just give them some exposure to the broader space because the growth is so much you don't have to play these games. And you can see a lot of money flooding in here, much like the S&P 500 index pushes up all those stocks that are in that index. You're going to see the same effect, but with cryptocurrencies, and we are so early, it's going to have a massive, massive effect here. We see big winners of the U.S. crypto policy are XRP, ADA, and Solana. And they're thriving. AVAX waiting recognition, and SUI, Phil, Aptos, Near, and Move gaining momentum. And this is interesting. Let's take a look at this chart. We see the Made in America coins, of course, and then you have this overlap of ones that have been mentioned by Trump. And out of the Made in America coins, Cardano, XRP, Solana. So those three make it. How much farther is it going to be until Trump mentions one here? I would be looking here in this group of coins. SUI, Aptos, Near specifically. Those are my three favorite out of this, out of this little grouping here. And I bet 1, 2, or 3 of those end up making it over into the strategic reserve at some point in time. AVAX, another big one here. And, every time I'm reading through something by JP Morgan, a bank, something, AVAX is always one of the systems they're testing on. It's one that I really should have more exposure to. And then, of course, you have up here HBAR, Polkadot. These are both ones that have great potential as well. Let me know down below what you think, though. Should I expand my holdings in AVAX? Is that a blockchain I should have more exposure to? Lastly, we see XRP Ledger, the OG DeFi chain. Number one, for any sort of blockchain, payments are important. That's the focus, especially the early building focus of the XRP Ledger. NFTs is a very capable blockchain. I think NFTs will grow into something bigger than they are right now. Monetary emission refers to the process at which a cryptocurrency or token supply is created, distributed, or increased over time. And we look, again, like Bitcoin, like other major cryptocurrencies, not Ethereum, but other ones. It has a fixed supply. There will never be more than 100 billion XRP, and that's just the way it is. And that makes it sound money, of course. RWAs, this is probably going to be the big one for the XRP Ledger. I think we need a little bit more functionality. We need some programmability. But when you're looking at stocks, bonds, commodities, taking these things on chain, I think the XRP Ledger is a great place to trade those assets. It's very efficient, very fast, very cheap. And again, it was built for that from day one. We had the first stable coin on the XRP Ledger. Just wasn't focused on enough. You had gold on the XRP Ledger very early. A lot of assets. So that's going to be a huge area of growth. I think RWAs, if they get it right, that could be the big one. Account management. You have a lot of control over your XRP account that you don't with other coins. You have an Ethereum wallet. People can dust you with whatever coins they want. XRP, you have to decide, are you going to accept this coin, this trust line, yes or no? It drives me nuts a little bit, but it makes sense, I think, especially when you look at institutions. They want to control what value is flowing into their wallet, what types of value they accept. With XRP, you get quite a bit of account management there. AMMs, big update here to the XRP Ledger, now including that RLUSD, I think is going to build a lot of on-chain liquidity. Got to do it. We got to see it happen, but it has all the tools there to make it happen. Decentralized identity is going to be huge, and we see a lot of focus on bridging. Again, from the early days, it's always been about interoperability with the XRP Ledger, and they're with Axelar and of course Interledger that's still going. I think we're going to see a lot more interoperability, and when you can bring interesting assets from other blockchains on the XRP Ledger, I think that's going to spur a lot of growth as well. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.